Coronavirus rearranges American life in the blink of an eye. Shelves are empty, and so are schools and churches. On Wall Street, it's been a bloodbath. But this morning, we'll look at Main Street. Can small businesses survive it? What about restaurants? The virus is here. What now? Today is Sunday, March 15, 2020, and live from Local 4, this is Flashpoint.
Hi, welcome to Flashpoint on a Sunday morning in which you can't go to church, but you can go to a casino. Strange times. Let's get right to it. In a minute, I'm going to be joined by Congresswoman Alyssa Slotkin on the federal response, but we're going to start this morning with Dr. Betty Chu, the Chief Quality Officer for Henry Ford Health System. Dr. Chu, thanks very much for coming in this morning.
Thank you.
We know more and more every day about cases. I guess what I want to start with, though, is are we learning more and more yet about the virus, about the way it's transmitted? We've really only known about it for about 2.5 months now.
Sure, yeah. Well, thanks so much for having me today.
Sure.
Some of the things we're learning new about the virus are that it can live on surfaces for up to 3 days, maybe up to 9 days. So what we're trying to understand now is how contagious is it once it's on that surface. As you know, the virus has only been around for a few months, so we're continually getting information from the experience in China and Singapore and Italy and other countries related to the actual spread of the virus and how contagious it actually is.
Yeah.
But we have learned that it can live on surfaces.
If you just look at social media from last night, it's what is typically St. Patrick's Day weekend. We got a lot of people, there's very mixed messaging, I guess, the way that there's so many people that are hunkering down and trying to take this very seriously, others who think that everything is overblown. Do you suppose there's a chance that we're overreacting or maybe reacting too quickly, too early to where we really are?
Yeah, I think the recommendations we're making for social distancing are really the correct ones. It's really important that the public takes the heed of staying in small groups and away from each other. This is really the biggest way that we're going to prevent spread of the disease. I don't think we're overreacting. I think the decisions that our governor have made and others have made to ensure that we close schools in our districts is really critical to us preventing the spread of this disease.
Young people are, of course, 10 feet tall and bulletproof.
Yeah.
To see pictures of them all packed into bars last night is I guess, troubling because they know that young people don't have really as much of a problem getting this. Maybe they don't fully understand the ability to become a carrier.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's such a key point. Whether or not you're young or you're old, you're still a carrier. And the challenge with the transmission of a disease during an endemic is how many people get that disease. And so it's really important for these folks to realize that it's really not only their particular health that we should be concerned about, but it's the health of the public. This is a public health threat, and that means that every citizen should really be focused on how they're going to be able to help their community.
How worried are you about our community's ability to handle this? Most hospitals don't have a lot of empty hospital beds
Sure.
on a day-to-day basis. And if we really get to that point where this reaches a critical mass, are we going to have the capacity to handle it?
Yeah, I think like you're hearing and many people are hearing in the media, we are at a point where we are very concerned about capacity. Right now in the state of Michigan, we haven't had a huge surge of patients in our inpatient facilities yet. Yeah. But we anticipate, especially if people don't behave the way that they should, which is to stay away from each other to help prevent the spread of disease, that we could get overrun. So that graphic that many people are showing on social media that shows the amount of spread that could happen if people don't take care of themselves and do these behaviors, the right behaviors. That's what our biggest concern is within healthcare, is that we may have so many patients that we can't handle. We feel very prepared within Henry Ford Health System. We've been preparing for 4 to 6 weeks for this crisis, and as the incident commander for our system, I can tell you, and myself as well as many other systems, we've been communicating with each other. So healthcare feels very prepared to take care of patients that are sick.
It's interesting, though. People, I think, are expecting a lot out of our hospitals to almost move into the public health sphere. You and I were talking about this earlier. I'm not sure people understand that. I'm not sure you feel that that's your lane, that you all of a sudden need to be setting up things like drive-through testing Talk a little bit about the problem that we have in the U.S. with our system, with the intersection between public health and private health care.
Sure, yeah. I think if you use the example in South Korea where they were able to very quickly set up screening tests for the whole population and make a mandate for the whole population. In our system currently right now, most of our acute care hospitals take care of very sick patients. That's what we're charged to do. We do have a large ambulatory footprint like many other hospitals where we take care of preventive medicine types of patients, but really there's a role of public health in screening a mass amount of people in the population or providing vaccination for a mass amount of people in the population. And our health systems really are not set up to provide that kind of care. We will do it because it's the right thing to do. So for instance, we've set up a drive-through screening site at Henry Ford Allegiance in Jackson. And all health systems are thinking about how do we set up those screening sites because we need to meet the demand of the population that's asking for screening and testing.
While at the same time being healthiest for the healthcare providers.
Yes.
And the drive-through system might help that as well.
Yes.
Last thing I wanted to ask you was, what do you think the biggest misconceptions are about this that you're hearing? Dr. Google, you know, is a dangerous place, as most healthcare professionals like to remind us. But what are you being scared by? What you're hearing?
I think the biggest misconception that I'm worried about is that we're overreaching in some of the the executive orders that are coming out and some of the initiatives. So again, the comment that you made about the MSU students or students that are out together in bars together, we are not overreaching when it comes to this public health threat. We are not overreaching when we ask for people to really heed the warnings of not traveling to certain areas and staying away from each other.
Dr. Chu, I really appreciate you being here this morning, and you teed that up quite nicely. I just happened to have the congressional representative for part of those areas we were just talking about with the bars. I want to bring in now Congresswoman Alyssa Slotkin from Michigan's 8th District. Which includes a lot of those pictures that we saw last night of MSU students. First off, what you're watching on social media and the varying reactions of the American public to the crisis.
I mean, I think when we have one of these crises, and we've had other crises, not like this one, but we've had other crises in recent memory, right? We had 9/11. I happened to be in New York City on 9/11. We need clear guidance. We need consistent guidance. It needs to be urgent and it needs to be compassionate. That's what people are looking for. And I think our governor has done a great job of coming out early and making declarations early, and I applaud that. I think that that's important. But people also need to remember that there's an element of personal responsibility in any kind of thing like this, especially when it's new. So if we are not congregating in groups of more than 250, you shouldn't be congregating in groups of more than 250 people. And I know that in East Lansing today, the mayor is worried about this. We were texting back and forth, and the police are now going from bar to bar and making sure that people are living up to that guidance. If it has to be more strict, it should be more strict. But I think the thing we're trying to get to is a place where we can see the light at the end of the tunnel, where our kids can go back to school, where our businesses can reopen, and we want to do that as soon as possible. And if that means early, aggressive action, we should be taking it to get to that light.
It's interesting, our understanding and appreciation for individual liberties in this country kind of collides with a lot of things in a public health crisis. I want to share with you the approach in China. It's difficult to imagine with our expectations of the way that we can live our daily lives. But here is Donald McNeil, the health and science reporter for the New York Times, explaining the China way to Rachel Maddow this week.
Testing, 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 testing. Find the virus. So one thing is, no matter where you go, if you are able to get out of the house in there, if you go into any building, your temperature is taken. I came into this building, nobody took my temperature. They asked me some silly questions I could have lied about. But, you get your fever taken. You get into a bus, your temperature is taken. You walk into the train station, your temperature is taken. You walk into the building, you walk back to your apartment building, your temperature is taken.
And what happens if you show a fever?
Then you're sent to a fever clinic. People are not sent to their own doctor's offices. Your doctor's office is dangerous. One of those tests will make you cough, usually cough or gag, and then you've infected the doctor. And then the doctor's office is out, and you've possibly infected everybody else in the waiting room. So they are sent to specific fever clinics, which the Chinese have had since they battled SARS back in 2002.
Sent to fever clinics and not sent home because so much infection they've discovered in China, they believe 70 to 80% happens within families and groups that are together. Really hard to see how we pull that off, but a lot of people found comfort, I think, in looking at, oh, well, look at the way that the numbers went down in China. There's a reason for that, and it's an approach that maybe we can't quite make in the
Yeah,
U.S.
I mean,
isn't it?
listen, we're not going to be able to do everything the exact same way. We have a different culture and a different society. But look at Italy, right? I don't think anyone wants to be Italy. We don't want to be in a situation where we're on lockdown for that long, where there's police in the streets monitoring who gets to go to the grocery store and at what rate. And the way that we avoid that kind of situation and make sure that that's not the vision of our future is by taking aggressive action now. And listen, it's hard. I was chastising my own parents, who are in their 70s. They said, well, we didn't go out to dinner, but we brought our friends in. And I said, every one of their grandkids, every one of their friends who they've met, they've brought their germs to your friends, and you've now brought it in the house. We're just going to have to take more personal responsibility in order to avoid the scenarios that we've been watching on TV.
Like Dr. Chu, you don't seem to believe we're overreacting then to what's going on. I wanted to, we saw members of both parties in Congress actually come together this week.
Yep.
You created and fashioned a package to try to address this at a financial level. I have to wonder, though, if it's nearly enough. How many industries are going to need bailing out or fixing after this is through?
Yeah, so I think it's important to understand what we've done and what is on the docket to do.
Yeah.
A week ago, we did an $8.3 billion package to get at things like investigating for a cure and for treatment. This past week, we did a financial package, we voted at 1 a.m. on things like making sure the food programs for our schools are open, testing kits made free to all Americans, making sure unemployment insurance, sick leave for small businesses who didn't offer it before, family leave, emergency family leave for small businesses. So we've done that. But everyone knows there is a third package, and that package, which I anticipate in somewhere around 10 days, is going to be the economic recovery package, because we're just now dealing with the health issues. What I'm starting to hear from are all my small businesses, organizations and companies that cannot survive without money coming in. So I really encourage everyone to go to the Small Business Administration offices. We have one in Detroit, call them, Detroit and in Grand Rapids, and they can help with what we also passed this week, which was major loan relief, right? Small business loans up to $1 billion in subsidized loans. And I want Michigan businesses to be the first in the door to apply for those loans.
In any crisis, the weight of it always seems to fall hardest on the least of us. And you've got a lot of people who hourly workers right now who obviously hope to be connected to the kind of help that you're trying to design. They often don't end up being connected to it, and they're the ones who, with schools being closed, they can't just call their employer and say, I'm not going to make it today, and still expect to be paid. What do we do about making sure that those that are already hurting in society are not the ones that bear the brunt of this?
Yeah, so this is what part of the package that we passed was specifically aimed at working families, people who can't just absorb being off of work. So for instance, like let's say a waitress at a restaurant that used to be full and is no longer getting shifts, no longer making tips, no longer making that money. This bill that we passed allowed for them to get either sick leave or emergency leave from their organizations. Their companies who didn't offer it before will get a tax break next year to cover those costs. So it's to put a little bit more money in the hands of people who need it the most. Obviously, our governor has been great about saying that our schools should provide meals to any young person who comes and needs it. Our food banks got more money. I mean, we're going to have a situation where more people are going to need assistance.
Lastly, Bernie Sanders has taken the moment to say that this is a pretty good time for us to discuss what single-payer health care would look like in America. Not only would people not be worrying about who has to pay for the test or what's my copay on this, but we would also have a centralized system, I suppose they would argue, of record keeping and patient data. Right now, we've got all of these islands that we're trying to coordinate, and it may not be the most efficient way of dealing with a crisis like this.
Yeah, I'll be totally honest with you. I have zero time for political commentary when we're dealing with this crisis. And that goes for
Isn't a crisis, though, the time to think about a better way ahead? I don't want to make it political. I'm talking about, is it best practices that we can debate?
Certainly, we will have plenty of time to look at lessons learned when this thing is over. But I will tell you, even though I don't agree with a lot of Donald Trump's ideas, I am invested in this administration succeeding. I want this to work as positively as possible, and I believe in that. And right now, it is just not the moment for politics.
Congressman Slotkin, thank you so much for coming in this morning.
Thanks for
Appreciate it. When we come back, we'll talk with some of the business owners that we're talking about here and how they're going to get through what can be an existential crisis for many of them. This is Flashpoint on Local 4. Back with more in just a minute.
With Michigan weather being so unpredictable, spend tax returns and profit-sharing checks where it matters most, your home. Call Ace & Sons today.
Don't go to the wrong place. Leave your insulation to Ace.
Is your loved one living with a developmental disability? Autism, Down syndrome, cerebral palsy? Are you in need of resources to assist with their ability to be independent, work, and live in the community? DWIHN is here to help. Give the Detroit Wayne Integrated Health Network a call today. 24/7, 800-241-4949, where ability matters. Here to talk, here to help.
DTE believes leaders are defined by doing what's right, not what's easy. So we're tripling renewables and cutting carbon emissions in half over the next 10 years and using cleaner natural gas. Working even harder to create a future where producing affordable, reliable energy doesn't contribute to climate change. Because to lead, we have to do what's right. DTE.
Recent statistics show a large percentage of Michiganders can save over $1,000 a year by refinancing. Call 248-308-5000 or chat with us online at davidhallmortgage.com.
The coronavirus has hit home, and understandably, you may be concerned.
You can count on us to keep you updated on where everything stands. Our team coming together for a live Local 4 special on this crisis.
I'll answer your questions about the outbreak, who is at risk, symptoms, and the best ways to protect yourself.
Help me, Hank, with important information about how you, the consumer, could be affected.
I have the updates on how this is affecting the economy, business, and your wallets.
Join us for our coronavirus crisis special, live Tuesday at 8.
Welcome back. As I said, a lot of attention on Wall Street right now. Let's turn our attention this morning to Main Street. If we're all going to practice social distancing and something that amounts to isolation, what about the businesses that survive on the opposite? Very happy to have with me this morning Dennis Archer Jr. of Ignition Media Group, also the owner of Central, the restaurant near Campus Martius downtown. Rachel Lutz, a champion of the local business scene, the owner of the Peacock Room. And Omar Anani, the owner of Saffron des Trois, which made every list of the best new restaurants in Detroit this year. Omar, let me start with you because you have already announced that you've already had to go to a takeout only operation. So tell me a little bit about what you're doing.
So for us, it was a matter of being proactive instead of reactive. And we're a community-based restaurant, and our focus is our community. So while we were one of the first to make that change, if not the first, it was more important for us to help protect the community versus making a profit. So yes, our sales are down, but the community support has been absolutely amazing. And we're just continuing to do everything we can, from sanitizing tables, between sanitizing doors, and we learned real quick the first day, because we were sanitizing every surface, salt, pepper, shakers, between each guest, and we learned that that's not sustainable over a 12-hour day.
Yeah,
so that's why we decided to shrink the model down to takeout and carry-outs only, and hopefully try to find a way to make deliveries happen, because people still need to eat.
And it comes at a time when, like I said, you're just starting to get tons of attention. You're located in an area that hasn't had a ton of restaurant activity on Gratiot over the years. You've really created something really special there. The timing must feel quite unfair.
It's very difficult to deal with, but we've been through worse financially with the business, and I think that the community, like I said, has just been amazing. From people coming in, wanting to dine in, and we're like, listen, we're not doing it, we're doing takeout, and they're being very understanding and ordering food still and waiting in their cars and doing all the things.
Let me stay with restaurants then. What's it been like at Central the last two nights, especially Friday and Saturday night? That's the haul, right?
I mean, we were definitely significantly off from a revenue standpoint, both Friday, less Saturday, but noticeably off. We are open for Sunday brunch, which does very well for us. We're trying to do those things, Devin, that we're not to the point where Omar is, and his food's amazing, by the way, where we're ready to drastically shift the way we execute. but we are, having to address staffing, and our staff is being very cooperative in terms of equity among one another. Everybody, if we had 5 people scheduled for today for brunch, we probably have 2 or 3 servers, and so they're working together about who takes what shift. We're going to order less in terms of our foodstuffs and our beverage orders, and try to adjust it. But where we're located, we've got 15 or 20,000 Rock family of company employees that are no longer there for lunch, happy hour, or dinner. And so this week upcoming, we'll get a better sense of what that's like, and then we'll have to make some tough decisions.
Rachel, the Peacock Room survives on foot traffic.
Man.
You want a crowd, and now you can't.
Yeah, I wish people were hoarding dresses and rhinestones like they were hoarding toilet paper. I'll be very frank with you, just to really give a true idea so people understand what these small businesses are facing. We really rely a lot on Fisher Theater traffic and the Broadway and Detroit shows that have been canceled. Yesterday on a theater Saturday is like Super Bowl for us. It's normally $5,000 to $6,000 in one store. Yesterday we did about $400. So I debated whether being, frank or not, but I really want people to understand the impact if you want these small businesses to survive, because this will eventually blow over when the time is right. But in that meantime, you still want these businesses to be open. My friend Liz at K9 to 5 Dog Daycare, she's taking a huge hit because, people travel and they put their dogs in boarding. People go to work and they put their dogs in boarding. And if they're doing neither, she's hurting too, I know. So it's not just retail, it's also services as well.
You're all in a situation, in fact, you were telling me you had some people coming in almost as an act of, I want to be here to help.
Purposeful.
We have that.
You've all got that,
Yes.
and yet at the same time, that may not be the smartest behavior. So you're kind of at odds with what people are being told and what you probably want them to do with what will help you survive.
Well, let me ask you this. Are you better off coming into a 3,000 square foot shop with a few people than going to Costco and touching those shopping cart handles? And in addition, for your mental health, going to those grocery stores, if you don't need something, and seeing the panicked behavior, that seeps into your own mental health, and that contributes to your panic. So I think it actually, in my as long as we're practicing the right practices, as these gentlemen are in their restaurants, and as long as we're practicing the social distancing, I would argue that it's actually probably safer to go in these smaller spaces.
I think, Devin, if you look at it, this ecosystem in which we're operating now, no one's ever operated in before.
This is all pioneer territory.
And so we're looking for guidance from our federal officials who were here earlier, from our city officials. I know that the Equity Commission that was set up by the mayor is meeting regularly, trying to figure out what they can do for small business, because they don't want a lot of shops to shutter. And I think we are all putting in our businesses health first, health of our guests, health of our staff. But at the same time, particularly with us, where people work on tips, I mean, if we were to shutter our doors completely, I mean, the management team that gets a salary would be fine, but the hourly workers that work on the floor, in the back of house, in the kitchen, if they're not working, they're not getting paid.
Go ahead.
For us, we had big discussions about this the other day, and while we operate on slim margins, I'm nowhere near as big as him, right? So I have 10 people to take care of, whereas he has hundreds, right?
50,
whatever. It's still a way more considerable amount of pay. So we've actually discussed, if it comes down to the point of do we have to close, we're committed to taking care of our employees and making sure they get paid during that duration of the closure. That's something that we've decided as a company.
How close does that seem to you, having to close?
Sales are down about 70% currently for us on the whole. If they drop below 50, that's pretty much, if they drop below 50, that's where you start to get worried.
Yeah.
And so it's not too far away, but at the same time, we're going to try and hold out for as long as we can.
Rachel, I know you've thought a lot about how long you can make payroll, right?
A lot of small businesses, we live, sometimes week to week, sometimes day to day. A lot of small business owners don't even pay themselves. How it really varies business to business, but just like a lot of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, so do the businesses. So it's not necessarily just a revenue thing, which, by the way, please buy gift certificates to these businesses. It helps us with our cash flow. It's not just getting the money in, it's getting it in at the right time for payroll and rent.
How long do you suppose you can make it? Got about 20 seconds left.
I mean, we're fortunate that we don't see the the end is not near for us. I think that we have to get through a complete week in this environment and reassess.
That is.
You know, probably Friday or Saturday, sit down as ownership and take a look at it.
Thank you all very, very much for being here this morning. Best of luck to all of you. The movement on right now saying tip a little more
there you go.
Than you used to.
Always tip a lot.
We'll wrap things up for Flashpoint right after this.
Always there for you. Come experience the Gowling difference at Gowling Alfa Romeo of Birmingham.
Lease a 2020 Alfa Romeo Giulia with all-wheel drive for just $329 a month, sign and drive. Or lease the 2020 Alfa Romeo Stelvio with all-wheel drive for $369 a month, sign and drive. Don't wait. Hurry into Gowling Alfa Romeo of Birmingham today on Woodward, just south of Maple, and at alfaromeoofbirmingham.com. DTE Energy's natural gas is a lot more than just clean, safe, reliable energy. Because it does more than heat pans. It delivers delight. It warms hands and hearts. It drives business and ignites imaginations. DTE works 24/7 to keep gas safe and reliable because it's more than just a fuel. It's a part of your life. DTE Energy.
Most homes have old, inferior insulation from the 70s, so you're too cold for 6 months, too hot for 4, and even in mild weather, you're losing money all 12 months. But you don't need a new home. You need better insulation. You need USA Premium Foam. Right now, we're tripling your savings. The brand new $500 energy tax credit, your utility bill savings, and your entire home insulated for only $99 per month. But you have to call by March 31st.
USA Insulation.
At Local 4, we take our role as first informers seriously. We know there is a lot of misinformation and fear surrounding coronavirus, and it is changing all of our lives. We want to reassure you that every single one of our newscasts is backed by facts, not hype. Our coverage is about our city and about our safety. Know that Dr. Frank McGeorge is here to answer your questions on air and at Click on Detroit, bringing you facts on case counts, locations, and sharing the tools and resources to help us navigate this troubling time together. In fact, speaking of Dr. Frank McGeorge, hope you'll join him. Consumer investigator Hank Winchester, business editor Rob Maloney, Kimberly Gill, and me. Our live special program on the coronavirus crisis coming up on Tuesday night at 8. That's it for us. Meet the Press coming up next. We'll see you next time right back here.